Once upon a time, in a small town nestled beside a vast, starlit desert, lived a young boy named Billy. Billy loved looking at the stars. Every night he'd sit on his porch, pointing out constellations and making up stories about the people who lived on those distant planets. One night a strange light appeared in the sky. It zipped and zoomed, unlike any airplane Billy had ever seen. Suddenly, it landed in the field behind his house. Scared but curious, Billy crept closer, his heart pounding like a drum. The craft was a smooth, silver disk. A ramp lowered, and a girl emerged. She looked human, but her skin shimmered with a faint blue glow, and her eyes were large and violet. "Hello," she said, her voice like tinkling bells. "I am Lyra, from the planet Xylos." Billy could only stare, speechless. "An alien, right here in his backyard," Lyra smiled. "Don't be afraid. I mean you no harm. My ship malfunctioned, and I need help." Billy, forgetting his fear, felt a surge of excitement. "I'll help you. What do you need?" Lyra explained that she needed a rare mineral, found only in the nearby mountains, to fix her ship's core. Billy, eager to impress his new friend, promised to help her find it. The next day, they set off on their adventure. Billy knew the mountains well, every hidden path and secret cave. He led Lyra through winding trails, pointing out interesting rocks and plants. Lyra, in turn, told him about Xylos, a world of floating cities and bioluminescent forests. As they searched, they talked and laughed. Billy learned that Lyra was a princess, sent to Earth to study its flora and fauna. Lyra learned about Billy's dreams of becoming an astronaut and exploring the universe. After days of searching, they finally found the mineral. It was a crystal that glowed with an inner light, pulsating with energy. Lyra was overjoyed. "Thank you, Billy," she said, her eyes shining. "You have saved me." With the mineral in hand, they returned to the ship. Lyra repaired the core, and the ship hummed back to life. But as she prepared to leave, a sadness filled her eyes. "I must go now," she said, "but I will never forget." "You, Billy?" Billy felt a pang of sadness, too. He didn't want Lyra to leave. In a moment of childish boldness, he blurted out, "Will you ever come back?" Lyra smiled. "Perhaps, but Xylos is far away, and our lives are very different." Billy, not wanting to let go, made a promise. "I'll wait for you. I'll become an astronaut and travel to Xylos, and when I find you, we'll get married." Lyra giggled. "That's a very big promise, Billy, but if that's your wish, then I promise too. If you come to Xylos, and if we both still wish it, then we will marry." With a final wave, Lyra boarded her ship. The ramp retracted, and the silver disk rose into the sky, disappearing among the stars. Billy stood there, watching until the last speck of light vanished. He knew it was a crazy promise, a childish dream. But he held on to it, a burning ember in his heart. Years passed. Billy never forgot Lyra. He studied hard in school, excelling in math and science. He spent hours stargazing, imagining Lyra on her distant planet. He never told anyone about his encounter, afraid they wouldn't believe him. Driven by his promise, Billy pursued his dream of becoming an astronaut. He joined the Air Force, became a skilled pilot, and eventually was accepted into the space program. He trained for years, enduring grueling physical and mental challenges. He never lost sight of his goal, to reach Xylos and fulfill his promise to Lyra. Finally, the day arrived. Billy was chosen for a mission to a distant star system, a system that, according to the latest astronomical data, might harbor a planet, similar to Xylos. As the spaceship soared through the cosmos, Billy felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. Was Lyra still alive? Would she remember him? Would Xylos be everything he imagined? After months of travel, they reached the star system. A blue planet, shimmering with light, came into view. It was Xylos. The crew prepared for landing. The ship descended. Billy gazed in awe at the floating cities and bioluminescent forests. It was even more beautiful than Lyra had described. They landed near a grand palace, its towers reaching towards the sky. A crowd of Xylosians gathered, their blue skin glowing, their violet eyes wide with curiosity. Then she appeared. Lyra. She was older, more regal, but her eyes still held the same sparkle he remembered. "Billy," she said, her voice filled with surprise. He stepped forward, his heart pounding. "Lyra, it's me." A moment of silence hung in the air as they gazed at each other, across the years and across the stars. Then Lyra smiled, a warm, genuine smile that melted away all his doubts. "You came," she said. "You actually came." Lyra led him into the palace, introducing him to her family and her people. They welcomed him with warmth and curiosity, eager to learn about Earth and its strange customs. Billy spent weeks exploring Xylos, marveling at its wonders and learning about its culture. He discovered that Lyra was now a queen, ruling Xylos, with wisdom and compassion. But as the days passed, a new doubt began to creep into his mind. He was just a simple astronaut from Earth. Lyra was a queen, destined for greatness. Could their childhood promise ever become a reality? One evening, as they stood on a balcony overlooking the shimmering city, Billy finally voiced his concerns. "Lyra," he said, "I don't know if this can work. You're a queen, and I'm just me." Lyra turned to him, her eyes filled with understanding. "Billy, when you left Earth, did you forget our promise?" He shook his head. "Never." "Then you should also remember this. On Xylos, we value love and commitment above all else. Titles and status mean nothing if there is no true connection." She took his hand. "You came all this way, across the stars, to fulfill your promise. That shows me the kind of person you are, the kind of man you have become." "But what about your duties?" Billy asked. "What about your people?" Lyra smiled. "I can rule Xylos and still love you, Billy. In fact, having you by my side would make me an even better queen. You would bring a new perspective, a new understanding to our world." She paused, then looked at him with a question in her eyes. "But the choice is yours, Billy. Do you still want to marry me?" Billy looked at Lyra, at her beautiful face, at her kind eyes, and he knew the answer in his heart. The years had changed them, matured them, but the connection they had forged as children was still there, stronger than ever. "Yes," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "I do." And so the little boy from Earth and the alien princess from Xylos were married. It was a grand celebration, attended by people from both worlds, a symbol of unity and love that transcended the stars. Billy became a prince of Xylos, learning to navigate the intricacies of Xylosian politics and culture. He used his knowledge of Earth to bridge the gap between the two worlds, fostering trade and understanding. Together, Billy and Lyra ruled Xylos with wisdom and compassion, their love a beacon of hope for all. And every night, they would stand on their balcony, gazing at the stars, remembering the day they met, the day a little boy promised an alien girl marriage and returned years later to keep it. Once upon a time, in a quiet little village, there lived an imaginative boy named Sam. Sam had wild, curly hair and bright blue eyes that sparkled with wonder. He loved exploring the woods near his home, always searching for something magical. One sunny afternoon, while wandering deeper than usual, Sam stumbled upon an unusual sight. There, nestled between two large trees, was a small, glowing spaceship. It was colorful and gleaming under the sun, surrounded by butterflies that danced in the air. Sam, full of curiosity, approached the ship. Just then, the door of the spaceship opened, and out stepped a girl. She was unlike anyone Sam had ever seen. Her skin shimmered in shades of green, and her eyes were big and bright, filled with curiosity. "Hello, Earth Boy," she said cheerfully. "My name is Zara. I come from a planet far away called Lumina." Sam's heart raced. He had always dreamed of meeting an alien, and here one was. They talked and played together as the sun began to set. Zara shared stories of her home, where trees sang and stars twinkled like diamonds. Sam told her about his village, his school, and the adventures he had. As they played near the twinkling lights of fireflies, Zara said, "One day, when we grow up, will you marry me?" Sam's face lit up with excitement. He thought about all the wonderful things they could do together. "Yes, I promise," he said boldly, not fully understanding the weight of his words. As the moon rose high in the sky, Zara said, "I must go now, but remember our promise." With a wave of her hand, she entered her spaceship, which hummed to life and lifted off into the starry night. Years passed, and Sam grew up. Although he often recalled his magical encounter with Zara, life took over. He went to school, made friends, and discovered the joys and challenges of growing up. Yet, in a quiet corner of his heart, he held on to the memory of that alien girl and their promise. One day, when Sam was in high school, he stumbled across an old notebook. Flipping through its pages, he came across a drawing he had made of Zara and their spaceship. Memories flooded back, and he felt a strong urge to see her again. He wanted to keep his promise. With determination, he decided to return to the spot where they first met. Bringing a small bouquet of wildflowers he had gathered, he walked to the edge of the woods. The same trees stood tall, and the air was filled with the sounds of chirping insects. As night fell, Sam sat under the stars, his heart pounding. He gazed up at the sky, shouting, "Zara!" even though he wasn't sure she would hear him. Suddenly, a soft light appeared in the sky, growing brighter and bigger. Sam's heart raced. Was it really her? The spaceship descended, landing gracefully before him. The door opened, and out stepped Zara, looking more radiant than he remembered. "Sam!" she exclaimed, her eyes shining with joy. "You came back." "I promised I would," Sam said, feeling a mix of happiness and nervousness. They hugged tightly, both amazed at how much they had missed each other. Zara looked different. She wore a beautiful dress made of twinkling fabric that shimmered like stars. "I've missed our adventures," she said. Sam smiled. "I have, too. But I remember our promise. I want to keep it." Zara's face lit up with delight. "You remember?" She took his hand, and they ventured into the woods, talking, laughing, and sharing stories about their lives. Sam told her about his dreams of becoming an astronaut and traveling to new worlds. Zara spoke of her adventures in Lumina, where she had learned about the wonders of the universe. Their bond grew stronger as they walked deeper into the forest. Just as they reached a sparkling stream, Zara paused. "Sam, there's something I want to show you." She waved her hand, and the ground shimmered like her dress. Suddenly, stars began to appear around them, swirling and twinkling in the air. "What is happening?" Sam asked, amazed. "This is the magic of Lumina? It's our connection," Zara explained, her eyes sparkling even more. "People of Lumina can connect through their dreams. It's how I found my way back to you." They danced together, under the shimmering stars, both of them wrapped in a light of happiness. As the night continued, Sam felt a wave of realization wash over him. They had grown so much, but his promise remained. Zara turned to him, her expression serious, yet caring. "Sam, keeping a promise is important, but we have each changed. I love you, But we must understand what marriage means on Earth and Lumina. Sam nodded, understanding the depth of her words. You're right, Zara. I didn't fully understand before. But I want to learn. I want to explore both worlds with you. Zara smiled, relieved and happy. Let's take our time. We can learn about each other's homes, our cultures, and what it means to love. Before they parted ways that night, they shared a sweet kiss, sealing the new chapter of their relationship. Sam knew that they had a long journey ahead, filled with discovery and understanding. He was ready. As the spaceship soared back into the skies, Sam watched it disappear among the stars, hopeful for their future. He knew they would meet again, and one day perhaps their promised dream of marriage could be a reality, filled with love and adventures from both their worlds. And so Sam returned to the village, his heart full, excited for the journey ahead, with his alien girl, ready to keep their promise in every way that truly mattered. Once upon a time, in a quiet little town named Willow Creek, there lived an imaginative boy named Oliver. With his big dreams and even bigger heart, Oliver loved to explore. One sunny summer day, as he wandered in the forest near his home, he discovered something extraordinary. It was a small clearing filled with sparkling lights, swirling colors, and a soft humming sound. Curious Oliver stepped inside the clearing. To his amazement, he found a small spaceship. The spaceship was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was shiny and colorful, with strange symbols all over. Around it, floating in mid-air, was a girl who seemed to glow. She had bright blue skin, big eyes that sparkled like stars, and a smile that made Oliver feel warm inside. "Hello? I'm Lila," the girl said, her voice like the sound of tinkling bells. "I come from the planet Zara." Oliver was astonished. "You're an alien!" he exclaimed. Lila giggled, and her laughter filled the air with magic. The two quickly became friends. They spent the entire afternoon talking and playing games. Lila told Oliver about her home on Zara, a planet full of colorful flowers, singing animals, and happy people. As the sun began to set, Oliver knew it was time to go home. "Will you promise me something?" Lila asked, her eyes shining brightly. "Promise me that one day we will get married." Oliver, filled with excitement and the innocence of childhood, nodded enthusiastically. "I promise," he said, sealing their promise with the most innocent of pacts. Then, as the stars began to twinkle in the sky, Lila glowed brighter and, before Oliver's very eyes, she floated back into her spaceship, waved goodbye, and zipped off into the night sky. Years passed after that magical day, and Oliver grew up. He often remembered his friend Lila, but as time went on, he started to forget the promise they made. Life in Willow Creek was busy. He went to school, made new friends, and pursued his dreams like any other boy. Somehow, in the chaos of everyday life, the promise faded away. One day, Oliver was in the library looking for a book when he encountered an old man. The man was reading a strange book filled with pictures of planets and stars. He looked up and smiled at Oliver. "You remind me of someone I once knew," the man said with a twinkle in his eye. "Who?" Oliver asked, intrigued. The old man leaned closer and said, "A girl from a faraway planet who promised a boy something very important long ago." Oliver's heart raced. He thought of Lila and the promise he had made. He realized then that he never really forgot her. He spent the entire night thinking about Lila and their promise. Just then, something extraordinary happened. He heard a soft humming sound outside. Looking out the window, he saw a light in the sky. Could it be? Oliver quickly ran outside. To his amazement, in the same clearing where he had met Lila, her spaceship was landing again. With his heart pounding in his chest, he rushed to the clearing. Lila stepped out of her spaceship, looking just as beautiful as he remembered. "Oliver!" she exclaimed, her smile brightening the night. I can't believe it's really you, Oliver cried, overwhelmed with joy. They embraced as memories flooded back. I returned because I knew you would keep your promise, Lila said, her eyes sparkling. I did not forget, Oliver replied, but I'm not a little boy anymore. Lila's smile softened. It doesn't matter. The promise is still true in my heart. Together they spent hours catching up, sharing stories about their lives. Lila shared tales of Zara and adventures beyond the stars, while Oliver spoke of growing up in Willow Creek. As they talked, Oliver realized how much he felt for Lila. He saw her not just as a friend, but as someone very special. They walked beneath the stars, and Oliver felt a warmth inside him. What if I really wanted to keep that promise? Oliver asked, looking deep into Lila's eyes. Lila's heart raced. You mean, you want to marry me? She asked, her voice soft and hopeful. Yes, Oliver said, feeling excited and scared at the same time. I want to marry you. Lila's face lit up with joy. Then I shall become your bride, and together we will explore both our worlds. With that, they joined hands and Lila activated a small device on her wrist that produced a shimmering light. Let's make a vow under this magical sky so the whole universe knows we are meant to be. They stood together as the stars twinkled above them. With hearts full of promise, they spoke their vows. I promise to love you, to cherish you, and to visit each other's worlds forever. A beautiful light enveloped them. In that moment, they were seen by the universe as true partners. The clearing glowed brighter, and for a moment they felt as if they floated among the stars. After their vows, Lila showed Oliver her spaceship, and they embarked on fantastic adventures through galaxies and magical places. They celebrated their love with all kinds of creatures from Zara, laughed under the colorful skies, and explored countless wonders. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Finally, Lila and Oliver decided to share their amazing love with their families. Oliver returned to Willow Creek with Lila by his side, ready to introduce her to everyone. The town marveled at Lila, the girl from another world. Their love story became legendary, reminding everyone that promises made with pure hearts can lead to the most extraordinary adventures. And so, Oliver and Lila lived happily ever after, keeping their promise as they traveled between their two worlds, where love knows no boundaries. Once upon a time, in a small town nestled beside a sprawling forest, lived a curious little boy named Billy. Billy loved adventures. He dreamt of dragons, faraway lands, and stars. One day, playing hide-and-seek near the woods, Billy stumbled upon something extraordinary. A small, shimmering spaceship hidden behind the thick trees. Hesitantly, Billy approached the craft. A door hissed open, and out stepped a girl, no older than him, with skin like polished silver and eyes that sparkled like distant galaxies. She introduced herself as Lyra, an alien from the planet Xylos. Billy, instead of running away, was captivated. Lyra explained that her ship had malfunctioned, and she was stranded. Billy, ever the helpful soul, promised to keep her a secret and help her fix her ship. Days turned into weeks, and Billy and Lyra became the best of friends. They spent their days exploring the forest, sharing stories, and trying to repair the spaceship. Billy learned about Xylos, a planet of advanced technology and peaceful beings. Lyra, in turn, discovered the simple joys of Earth, the taste of ice cream, the warmth of the sun, and the laughter of children. One evening, as they sat beneath the starry sky, Lyra revealed that on Xylos, it was customary to promise marriage to someone as a sign of deep friendship and commitment. Without fully understanding the weight of his words, Billy, in his innocent enthusiasm, promised to marry Lyra when they were older. Soon after, with Billy's help, Lyra managed to repair Her ship. It was time for her to leave. The farewell was bittersweet. They promised to never forget each other, and Lyra vowed to return one day. With a final wave, she boarded her ship and soared into the night sky, leaving Billy alone with his memories and a promise. Years passed. Billy grew into a young man. He never forgot Lyra or his promise. People in town often scoffed at his stories of the alien girl, dismissing them as childhood fantasies. But Billy held on to the hope that Lyra would return. He studied hard, becoming an astrophysicist, dedicating his life to understanding the cosmos, hoping to one day bridge the gap between Earth and Xylos. One day, a strange energy signature was detected near Earth. The world held its breath. Was it an invasion? A threat? Billy knew in his heart it was Lyra. He raced to the spot where he had first met her, his heart pounding with anticipation. As he arrived, a familiar shimmering spaceship descended from the sky. The door opened, and there she was, Lyra, even, more radiant than he remembered. She had kept her promise. Lyra stepped out, her silver eyes searching for him. When she saw Billy, a smile lit up her face. "You came back," Billy said, his voice filled with emotion. "I promised I would," Lyra replied, her voice like tinkling bells. Lyra explained that on Xylos, a promise was sacred. She had returned, to honor their childhood vow. However, she also understood that Billy had grown up on Earth, with different customs and beliefs. She gave him a choice, to uphold their promise and travel to Xylos to marry her, or to remain on Earth and continue his life there. Billy was torn. He loved his life on Earth, his work, his friends, and family, but he also felt a deep sense of responsibility towards Lyra and the promise he had made. He asked for time to consider, and Lyra agreed. News of Lyra's arrival spread like wildfire. The world was in awe and disbelief. Scientists clamored to study her and her technology. Governments sought to establish contact with Xylos. Billy, caught in the middle, felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. He confided in his childhood friend Sarah, who had always believed in his stories. Sarah listened patiently, offering her support and understanding. She reminded him of his dreams, his passion for space, and his kind heart. She also gently pointed out that marriage should be based on love, not just a childhood promise. Billy spent days in contemplation, torn between his duty and his heart. He realized that while he cared deeply for Lyra, his feelings were rooted in childhood friendship and a sense of responsibility. He wasn't in love with her. Finally, he made his decision. He met with Lyra and explained his feelings. He told her how much he valued their friendship and how grateful he was for her return. But he also confessed that he couldn't marry her, not in the way she expected. Lyra listened intently, her expression unreadable. When he finished, she simply nodded. "I understand," she said. "On Xylos, we value honesty and integrity above all else. You have honored our promise by being true to your heart." Lyra then proposed an alternative. She suggested that they forge a new kind of bond, a partnership between Earth and Xylos based on mutual respect and understanding. She invited Billy to join her on Xylos as an ambassador to help bridge the gap between their two worlds. Billy, his heart filled with joy and relief, accepted. He bid farewell to his friends and family, promising to return often. He boarded Lyra's ship, ready for a new adventure. As they soared into the sky, Billy looked back at Earth, a small blue planet in the vast expanse of space. He knew he was leaving behind one chapter of his life and beginning another. He was no longer just Billy, the little boy who promised an alien girl marriage. He was Billy, the ambassador, the bridge between two worlds, ready to explore the endless possibilities of the universe with his friend Lyra by his side. And so, the little boy who promised the alien girl marriage kept his promise, not in the way he initially thought, but in a way that was far more meaningful and profound, forging a bond that would last for generations to come. Once upon a time, in a small town nestled beside a sprawling forest, lived a curious and imaginative boy named Billy. Billy loved exploring the woods, his mind always buzzing with fantastical stories of magical creatures and faraway lands. One sunny afternoon, during one of his adventures, he stumbled upon a clearing he had never seen before. In the center of the clearing stood a spaceship, shimmering with an otherworldly glow. Hesitantly, Billy approached the craft, his heart pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. As he drew closer, a ramp descended from the ship, and a figure emerged. It was a girl, but unlike anyone Billy had ever seen. She had bright silver skin, large, gentle eyes, and hair that shimmered with all the colors of the rainbow. "Hello," she said, her voice like the tinkling of bells. "I am Lyra, from the planet Xylos." Billy was stunned, but quickly recovered. "I'm Billy," he replied. "From Earth." Lyra smiled. "It's nice to meet you, Billy. Our ship had a little accident, and we needed to land here for repairs." Over the next few weeks, Billy and Lyra became the best of friends. Billy would visit her every day after school, and Lyra would tell him about her home planet, Xylos, a world of floating islands, bioluminescent forests, and cities built of crystal. She described the amazing creatures that lived there, the technology they used, and the beautiful songs they sang. Billy, in turn, told Lyra about Earth, about school, his family, and the simple joys of his life. He showed her the forest, taught her how to climb trees, and introduced her to the wonders of human food, especially ice cream, which quickly became her favorite. One day, as they sat by a babbling brook, Lyra told Billy that her ship was almost repaired and that she would be leaving soon. Billy's heart sank. He couldn't imagine life without his new friend. "Will you ever come back?" he asked, his voice filled with sadness. Lyra looked at him, her eyes filled with affection. "I don't know, Billy. Space is vast, and journeys are long. But I promise you this. If I ever have the chance, I will return." In a moment of childish bravado, Billy blurted out, "Then when you come back, let's get married." Lyra giggled, finding his earnestness endearing. "Okay, Billy," she said. "When I come back, we'll get married." The day came when Lyra's ship was ready to leave. Billy stood in the clearing, tears streaming down his face as Lyra hugged him goodbye. "Don't forget me, Billy," she said. "Never," he promised. The ship ascended into the sky, leaving Billy alone in the clearing, his heart heavy with sadness, but also filled with a strange sense of hope. Years passed. Billy grew up, but he never forgot Lyra. He often visited the clearing where they had first met, hoping against hope that she would return. His friends teased him about his alien girlfriend, but Billy didn't care. He held on to the promise they had made. He studied hard in school, becoming fascinated by science and astronomy. He dreamed of building his own spaceship one day so he could travel to Xylos and find Lyra. One evening, as he was working late in his makeshift laboratory, he noticed a strange signal on his radio telescope. It was a repeating pattern of tones, unlike anything he had ever heard before. Could it be? He worked tirelessly to decode the signal, and after days of relentless effort, he finally cracked it. It was a message, and it was from Lyra. "Billy," the message said, "I'm coming back. Meet me at the clearing." Billy's heart leaped with joy. He couldn't believe it. After all these years, Lyra was finally coming back. He rushed to the clearing, his mind racing with anticipation. As he waited, he remembered the promise they had made as children. It seemed silly now, but to him it was still important. He wanted to honor his word. Suddenly, the sky lit up, and a familiar spaceship descended into the clearing. The ramp lowered and Lyra stepped out. She looked older, more mature, but her eyes still held the same gentle sparkle that Billy remembered. "Billy," she said, her voice still like the tinkling of bells. "Lyra," he replied, his voice choked with emotion. They rushed towards each other, embracing in a long, heartfelt hug. "You came back," Billy said, tears welling up in his eyes. "I promised I would," Lyra replied. They spent the next few days catching up, sharing stories of their lives. Lyra told Billy about her adventures in space, the planets she had visited, and the amazing civilizations she had encountered. Billy told her about his studies, his dreams, and his unwavering hope that she would return. One evening, as they sat by the brook where they had made their promise, Billy turned to Lyra and said, "Lyra, do you remember what I asked you all those years ago?" Lyra smiled. "You mean about getting married?" Billy blushed. "Yes, I know it was just a childish thing to say, but I meant it. I still mean it." Lyra looked at him, her eyes filled with love and admiration. "Billy," she said, "I've traveled, the galaxy seen countless wonders, but nothing compares to the friendship we shared. And over the years, that friendship has grown into something more." She paused, then took his hand. "Yes, Billy," she said, "I will marry you." And so, in the clearing where they had first met, Billy and Lyra were married, people from Earth, and Xylos attended the ceremony, witnessing the union of two worlds, two hearts, bound by a childhood promise and a love that transcended the stars. Their wedding was a celebration of unity, understanding, and the power of hope. The little boy who had promised an alien girl marriage had kept his word, proving that even the most fantastical dreams can come true, and that love knows no boundaries, not even the vast expanse of space. Billy and Lyra built a life together, traveling between Earth and Xylos, bridging the gap between their two worlds. They worked to promote peace and understanding, sharing their story with everyone they met, inspiring them to believe in the impossible and to always keep their promises. And as they looked up at the stars, they knew that their love story was just beginning, a testament to the enduring power of friendship, hope, and a little boy's promise to an alien girl. They lived a life filled with adventure, love, and the unwavering belief that anything is possible, as long as you never give up on your dreams. Their tale became a legend, whispered among the stars, a beacon of hope for all who dared to dream beyond the confines of their own world.